Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va. No upper echelon. Nobody's not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica. Make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody's not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody's not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody's not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody's not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk.
Good evening, everybody listening, watching from around the world and the Eastern Caribbean. Welcome to the edition of the Make We Talk program. I'm yours truly, Jeffrey Tavares. This evening, we're going to speak to opposition spokesperson on foreign affairs and foreign trade, Senator Donna Mottley. Senator, welcome to the program. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too, Jeffrey, and to all your listeners. It hasn't started out quite as we would have liked, but based on what we are seeing now, it can only get better. And I wish for you success, good health, and a lot of wealth.
Same to you, Senator. Same to you.
Thank you.
We're going to speak a little bit about our beloved Ambassador Ward, and also, I don't know if you want to give an opinion and the whole Venezuela issue. If not, then that's okay with me. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, it's interesting you should say that because, you know, Ambassador Ward it's very painful to be able to speak about him in past tense. He was a member of my Foreign Affairs, Regional Affairs and Diaspora Affairs Task Force.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually had our meeting on Friday, the Friday before he passed, just so the task force could do an analysis of what has happened in Venezuela and what we can expect going forward.
Mm-hmm.
It was my intention to even speak with him. We had arranged that I would have called him on Monday morning. And I woke up very early to news of his passing. It was shocking. I don't think that I've actually processed it in its entirety as yet, because he was an exceptional person. You know that in life, sometimes you meet these persons who have this tremendous stature, so much dignity, has this enormous capacity, and yet remains so humble in how they put across their views. And Ambassador Curtis Ward was one such person, and we will miss him terribly. He has left a tremendous void.
Yes.
So,
Senator, we also have joining us none other than Dr. Karren Dunkley from the diaspora. Dr. Dunkley, welcome to the program. I know you're in a travel status, but welcome to the program. Your tribute to Ambassador Ward. What would you say about Ambassador Curtis Ward?
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Greetings as always to you and your listeners. And of course, allow me to wish you a Happy New Year, Senator the Honorable Donna Scott Mottley.
thank you so much, Karen, and the very same to you. I'm delighted to be on the program with you.
Thank you. The same here. Jeffrey, I have to share a quick story, an anecdote about Ambassador Curtis Ward. And I think that in that anecdote, you will certainly find reflected my tributes and my thoughts. I met Ambassador Ward while I served when I was elected to the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, and Ambassador Ward reached out. Now, what was interesting about Ambassador Ward is he had many ideas and served as quite a historian and a reference, and quite frankly, a mentor for me in terms of understanding the historical developments of the Jamaican diaspora in terms of formal diaspora, we call it with a D. And Ambassador Ward was unique, Jeffrey, because he shared Senator Scott Motley that although he had some fundamental disagreements with the council and how it was organized and functioned, that he supported me because he believed that I was sincere in my efforts and genuine in working for the betterment of Jamaica and the community. And I have to tell you, Jeffrey, that Ambassador opened up his network, which is something that we don't get often in our community as from mentors. He introduced me to many other ambassadors from across the region. Ambassador Ward ensured that I was on every panel that was any panel to be on. When issues emerged that were germane to the diaspora, he would send me different pieces to read that were from different divergent perspectives. He would always challenge me, and even after I demitted office, he challenged me and he said, Karen, I want for you to use your intellect and your influence. Be courageous and be bold in speaking up, advocating on behalf of the Jamaican people and the Jamaican diaspora. And so when you ask me to talk about who Ambassador Curtis Ward is and was, a complete giant, a man who epitomizes nation building, one who I always call him erudite. I would say, hey, the erudite Ambassador Ward. And that
Yes.
was always our greeting because I found him, even when I didn't agree with everything with his polemics, I found him just simply brilliant in his analysis. And that is who he is, very compassionate, very down to earth. And I honor him, and I've shared with everyone even before now. And this is why we must give persons their flowers when they're here and can accept them. I have publicly applauded him, Senator Scott Motley and Jeffrey, because I will never forget that he was one of the first and the few who held my hand and said, I will walk with you even when we don't agree, as long as we're both focused on the best and better outcomes for Jamaica.
But
You know,
Jeffrey,
go ahead, Senator. Go ahead.
Karen has captured him, and I'm glad she shared that story with us
Mm-hmm.
because it goes to the very essence and nature of this man. You know, he was always intent on educating people, and his posts in the ward posts
Yes.
were always so, they provided a historical background and a depth of analysis which you couldn't get anywhere. Now, he was courageous in his thought
Yes.
because he had the background which enabled him to give the examples of previous actions which had been taken.
Mm-hmm.
And as Karren says, you didn't have to agree with what he said because he was very respectful of persons' opinions, even while he held his own ground very strongly. If it was necessary to shift and to be persuaded, he would not apologize for shifting because
Yes.
he had the capacity to do so. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I first came into contact with him in this way during the time of the Constitutional Reform Committee. Because, as you know, he had a very keen interest in almost everything, but in particular, he had an interest in seeing this process by which Jamaica was to become a republic. He wanted to see it in his lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I really appreciated his thoughtfulness and his graciousness. And even as he examined the situation in Venezuela, he was strong in his views, clear in his position, and clear in what the public position needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I depended on him for advice in many, many areas, and his passing has left a void in terms of the level of experience and the level of discourse which surrounded him.
Yes.
The task force has on numerous ambassadors, but you could see that they all held Curtis in very high regard.
Indeed.
And we've all just been in mourning until today somebody says, well, I know we are all mourning Ambassador Ward, but he would have liked us to have continued the work that we are doing.
Indeed.
We will
Because
miss him.
you know, Senator Scott Mottley and Karren, Dr. Dunkley, I am on this platform many times, and behind the scene, he's listening to me, and I didn't know. And I will get a call about 2 days after, and he said to me, young man, you did this or you do it this way. No, no, no. You have to do it this way. Or you said this, but it's not how it's supposed to be said that way. And he will correct me. I remember the last time I saw him on this platform here, I was talking about the housing problem in Westmoreland and the people at the Petersfield shelter, where Minister Mackenzie said that they need to move. Then he said that he didn't say anything like that. So I was on the platform making some fun of it, and I started singing a song. And Ambassador Ward wrote into the chat room, Jeffrey, are you having a night for Desmond? And I'm like, and I started laughing because you know he was there listening to you, and my students on this platform end up listening to him and learning a lot from him. Senator Mottley, Jamaica has lost a son, a true diplomat. What would you say to the Jamaican people now, Senator Mottley? We have lost somebody who always give us good advice within the diplomatical realms. Who can we turn to now?
Well, you know, Jeffrey, that's a very challenging question.
Mm-hmm.
But once someone leaves a space, there are others who step up and who are inspired by the legacy and the life that the person has lived. It will be difficult to fill those huge shoes that Ambassador Ward wore.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, we just have to be patient and to wait and see who will emerge. I want to add one thing about him because you spoke about the shelter in Petersfield.
Yes.
Because after Hurricane Melissa, he started, he established a group and a GoFundMe to get contributions and donations to send to Jamaica to help those persons who had suffered during the hurricane. And you would think that somebody like him, who was being so sought after internationally, he's an attorney, his opinions were always needed, always requested, people relied on him. But he took the time to care for those persons who were suffering, those persons who are underprivileged, and those people who had this absolute need. He paused in what he was doing and tried to send relief items to Jamaica. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a consummate personality. There was nothing one sided about him. He was not just an intellectual giant. He was not just an expert in international affairs. He did not just bring to the table a thoughtfulness, methodical approach to whatever he had to do. He was compassionate and he was kind.
Indeed. Dr. Dunkley, Ambassador Ward, what would you say Ambassador Ward was to the Jamaican diaspora, both in the United States, in London, and in Canada?
I don't think we have words that can capture what he was, because I think his spirit was so indomitable. He was such a great person. And I think Senator Motley and Jeffrey, your story, you spoke about him as being compassionate and kind. And oftentimes we miss the multidimensionality of persons and we only see them in one dimension. But quite frankly, we are multidimensional. And Ambassador Ward was that human being, Jeffrey. And so he was very funny. He had a sense of humor, which is, which was quite interesting because when you first meet him, if you don't know him quite well, you don't expect it because you think because of his brilliance and talent and quite frankly his discipline that he is going to be stoic. And he's quite frankly the opposite, very down to earth and compassionate and kind, as Senator Motley described. And so when I think about what he means for the Jamaican diaspora, I think that he is our founding father, quite frankly, Jeffrey, as we
Mm-hmm.
had the framers of the United States Constitution, we have our national heroes in Jamaica. I quite frankly would place Ambassador Ward among those giants who have framed the role of the diaspora, the historical origins of the diaspora, the future directions that diaspora, global diaspora should consider. And he's a framer of the diaspora. He is a father. I must emphasize and salute him again, Jeffrey. We oftentimes are shy of solid mentors, well meaning mentors.
Mm-hmm.
And he is one of those. He has planted many seeds. So when you ask about who will take his place, we know that no one is indispensable, but at the same time, even though you can replace a position, you never quite replace a person. And so I think he has planted many seeds. He's extremely disciplined. And I think that his body, his portfolio of work in public service, but also his writings, his advocacy, his education through the writings is where he's going to be sorely missed because it requires, in addition to a certain level of scholarship, a certain level of discipline to publish and to engage in that kind of writing and dissemination of information.
Mm-hmm.
And Ambassador Ward operates at the highest level of discourse. Senator Scott Motley, I see a Jamaica and I talk about it quite often where we shy away now from discourse. And as an educator at my core, discourse is the highest form of literacy. It's persons who can engage in discourse with convergent and divergent views. We can agree or we not agree, but we
Absolutely.
still talk it through. We still understand each other. And for that, I must salute him because he absolutely is the highest form of just civility and discourse that I have seen. And one more thing, Jeffrey,
Mm-hmm.
I even just mentioned Senator Scott Motley that when I was a student at St. Catherine High and Wilmer's Girls, I used to read, you would read a letter of the day, you'd read an opinion piece from a political member, but on issues, policy issues, not politics, political banter
Yes.
on issues of the day, what's happening around agriculture, current affairs. And these individuals would write. And so you came in when we were growing up to respect the political representatives in some instances as thought leaders. And I think that that is a missing piece. And Ambassador's Ward legacy, his legacy, should remind us to keep the intellectual piece, the intelligence, the discourse piece happening among our political representatives.
Mhm.
That's a
Senator,
very important. That's a very important point that Karren has made,
go ahead.
because our society has become so divided that once you disagree with a position, you are put into a political slot. And I think that is so unfortunate, because I believe that regardless of which political party you support, you should, in fact, be able to comment on policy, on programs, and be constructively critical of the government or the opposition.
Mhm.
That is the kind of capacity which he demonstrated. And when you ask about who will step up to the plate now, I think we need to find people who are that courageous, that they don't care about how they are labeled, that they are focused on serving and on building Jamaica, on building the nation. He went beyond the nation because he did a lot of work internationally. And his
Yes.
commentary, I remember that he was writing quite extensively on Nigeria in the Ward Post just before he passed.
Mhm.
But I'm endorsing what Karren has said. We can disagree, but we ought to be able to discuss and have discourse.
Just a moment here, please. I have joining me now veteran broadcaster Conrad O'Brien. Conrad O'Brien, welcome to the program. Conrad? Hello, Mr. O'Brien?
Hi, hi, Jeffrey. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good evening.
I have Senator Mottley and Dr. Karren Dunkley online here.
Good evening to you, Jeffrey, and indeed, good evening to the two very esteemed lady, Senator Scott Mottley, and indeed Dr. Karren Dunkley, and indeed to your listeners and viewers, Jeffrey. I greet them well, and I just let me say Happy New Year and all the best for 2026 to everyone listening, and of course, in particular to the two ladies online there. I just listened and heard the tributes, the glowing tributes being paid to my friend and brother, the Ambassador Curtis Ward. And indeed, you know, Jeffrey, I must tell you that it really came, the passing of Ambassador really came as a surprise to me. And I tell you why. Just Sunday afternoon, I tried to get to the Ambassador Ward, and I didn't get him. I tried him back Monday morning because, of course, Dr. Ward is one. I'm keep on saying Dr. Ward. Ambassador Ward is certainly one of the go-to person, certainly here in the media in Jamaica and indeed elsewhere across the diaspora, you know, and in the Caribbean. He's always on program talking, and of course, he has a very popular Ward post that put out some of the most interesting article. Because I tell you that what happened. So on Monday it was, I think, he sent me the post there. He sent me the post, and he said to me that he did not get my call because his phone was on silent from church on Sunday. So that's the level of communication and relationship that Ambassador Ward and I had. And, you know, certainly it really and truly tugged at my heartstring when I heard of his passing, because I said to myself that, oh my goodness, we are so much poorer for his passing, because as I heard Senator Scott Mottley said that he was the kind of person that while he may have or he had a preference, like all of us do, for a political party, certainly Ambassador was just a consummate professional who would just basically call it as it is, and he was certainly a reservoir of knowledge. So all in all, you know, we are poorer for his passing by way of information and so on.
Yes.
He was indeed a go-to person.
Yes. Senator Mottley, I want you back in here now, Senator Mottley. St. Elizabeth has lost a son, a man who hailed from the parish of St. Elizabeth. He attended Manchester High School and went on to live in the United States and went on to Howard University. Can you talk to us about if you're aware of when Ambassador Ward was appointed ambassador by former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson?
Well, I think it was in 2000 that he first served on the UN Security Council. And so, and he served for some time, and then he went on to other posts. He traveled through, he was very, very significant in our developing our AML and our CTF, that is our anti-money laundering and our counterterrorism framework, and lectured extensively on it. He was very close to Prime Minister Patterson, as you know, a great friend. And when I got this appointment, the shadow position, of course, I hope you don't mind if I call him PJ.
No, go ahead.
PJ called me immediately and said, "Come, you need to come now. We need to talk right away. I'm so excited about this." Because
hold on for me, Senator Mottley. Dr. Dunkley, I'm not hearing it clearly at all.
Yeah, the feed is extremely pixelated.
Okay. We're losing Dr. Karren Dunkley. I don't know what's going on here. Senator Mottley, continue for me, please. I try work on Dr. Dunkley here.
Yes, so I was saying that as you know, PJ had been Minister of Foreign Affairs, and under his leadership, Jamaica had really achieved quite a bit of international connections, and significant negotiations were done and treaties were arrived at. So the first person he says, Ambassador Curtis Ward. And I said, well, he was the first person who came to my mind. Now, when Ambassador passed, and I messaged PJ, he was broken, because he said, as a matter of fact, they had spoken 3 o'clock the day before.
Yes.
And he too was just taken aback by the news and didn't know how to deal with the suddenness of Ambassador Curtis Ward's passing. So I know that he became involved from 2000. Of course, you know, he was also an adjunct professor. He lectured extensively.
Yes, he
did. He wrote many articles and did numerous presentations, which took the whole strategic.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
The strategic work for anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism forward.
And based on all of that, Senator Scott Mottley, let's dive a little into the scenario that's going on between Venezuela and the United States, especially the Caribbean here. What do you think Ambassador Ward would have said pertaining to all of this now? Because former Prime Minister Golden came out heavily about this. But, you know, you have to be very careful when you speak about the country up north.
Well, I know that his views were that CARICOM should unite around the entire subject, that CARICOM needed to sit down and needed to establish exactly what they would do going forward. He felt that it was not appropriate for countries to stand on their own with diverse views in this space at this time. He felt that one should stand on a position of principle, affirming the rules of sovereignty, affirming the position of the Caribbean as a zone of peace, and also calling for international laws to be observed. He saw it has been necessary for the protection of small states, that only rules could protect us. And once there was a departure from that, everybody would be exposed. He did not at all focus on the president himself. He didn't focus on President Maduro and the nature of his presidency. He was talking about the attempt to change the regime against international laws.
Yes.
Because that was the kind of person he was. He was not going to be over emotional on a subject, but he always went back to what is the legal position and what is the position that we have all agreed to as different countries. What was the UN Charter?
Yes.
What did it prescribe for a situation such as this? So I would say that in our discussions, he never said, "Oh, President Maduro was X or Y," or expressed a view as to his nature or character. What he did was that he was very clear about the approach which should be taken to matters such as this, and how, especially as how a diplomat should approach these matters. So he gave very strong advice, very courageous advice, but it was rooted in his discipline and his adherence to the rule of law.
Yes. Conrad O'Brien, come on back in. We have lost Dr. Karren Dunkley because of technology and coverage. Mr. O'Brien, Mr. O'Brien, what has the media fraternity in Jamaica have always called an Ambassador Ward to come on and speak about other issues and so forth, like international issues. Who are we going to call upon now?
Well, certainly there are other persons that will fill the void. You have, for example, but probably persons have different skill sets. As Senator Mottley said that, Ambassador Ward basically was well schooled in the whole that he played in the Security Council, and so he was certainly a walking encyclopedia in that arena. So he would posit those views and so on. And I must say that Senator Scott Mottley had basically represented the viewpoint that Ambassador Ward basically represented on it as it relates to the Venezuela issue and basically the Caribbean as a zone of peace, and believe that the Caribbean certainly should be speaking in one voice. Of course, that's the kind of discussion that I had with him when we spoke on that subject matter. As it relates to who you would be the go-to person, you have a number of lawyers and so on there. You have persons, of course, like Dr. Karren Dunkley there. You have Rattigan and a number of persons that we will be able to talk to. But of course, Ambassador Ward would have served at that very, very prestigious level, at the United Nations and so on. So he had that special experience, that experience, and of course, with his training, that would have basically make him excellent person to speak to. And of course, he would have been inundated whenever certain issue arose, because us as practitioners in the media would be, basically lining up to get Ambassador Ward's views, because it was so clinical. And as Donna said, Donna said that, he wasn't the kind of emotional person, very soft-spoken, very measured, and of course, the people of Treasure Beach had lost a son indeed, and of course, the fraternity of Manchester High School, the really and truly lost a great person in Ambassador Ward.
Senator Mottley, we all know that Ambassador Ward was a person who speak through to power, whatever political issues may face our country. Your take on the idea of him speaking about Jamaica's election and as you said, he wanted to see in his lifetime Jamaica become a republic. Ambassador Ward was a person who speak out against a lot of issues that face our country. He being not here with us now, what would we be lobbying for on his behalf in Jamaica becoming a republic?
Well, I think that, you know, Jeffrey, you have decided to bowl me some terrible balls tonight. Conrad, you will have to come to my rescue. You know, I am supposed to be a diplomat.
I'll try my best.
On the question which you have asked me and framing, intertwining the Republic issue, Jeffrey, that's very unfair. Suffice it to say that he would have really wanted to see Jamaica become a republic. But he was sensitive to the issues which were dominating the press at that time.
Yes.
And when we spoke about it privately, I think what he wanted to see was more discussion about it, wider discussion, more involvement of different people from across the board, and more education around the existing constitution and the changes which would be proposed. That is what he would want, more public engagement.
Good.
I don't.
Go ahead.
I am disappointed because, and this is why it's challenging for me. Not only is it that he did not see one of his dreams come to pass, but this whole issue of becoming a republic does not even seem to appear on the agenda anymore. And when you ask me that question, I think about how he approaches things.
Yes.
Because his first thought was always, let's talk about it. Let's talk it through. Let's examine all the issues, the pros and the cons, and try to arrive at an understanding. He had very strong views on everything, but he was also able, as I said previously, to moderate his views if the evidence before him was such that he felt that he should take a slight shift in his position. He wasn't the sort of person who just stuck to one position and would not yield at all. And he would have been really pleased if he had seen Jamaica transition from being a monarchy,
yes,
to being a republic, and that has not happened. And Jeffrey, the way things are going, I don't know if it will happen in my lifetime either.
Oh Lord, Mr. O'Brien, I wanted to come on, but do you have a fan on the background, Mr. O'Brien?
Yes, I do. Let me just cut it. Sorry about that. Yes. All right. Yes.
Come on,
okay.
Come on, you pick up what where Senator Mottley left from.
All right. You know, Donna herself is very, very schooled in the whole business of the law of, as you know, and also diplomacy. I am somewhat more forthright as the fireman, so I'll burn a little bit of fire. The truth is that Ambassador Ward, while he was quite measured, he was a very, very forthright man, and you would know exactly where he stands. So of course, it's a given that he definitely wanted to see us transition into a republic. And I must say that toward a fundamental area outside of the discussion, because everyone know and he himself knows that what happened, what we dubbed as discussion and so on with the people, certainly, and Donna would basically be the first to agree to it. This was basically nonsense. We haven't started the discussion in terms of involving the people of Jamaica in any kind of robust discussion as yet. So he wanted that. But there were two fundamental things that underpin or undergird some of what he believed that we should strike as going into the republic. And one is to sever the umbilical cord, right? That of basically move away from the monarch, of course, and also basically being a full-fledged member of the Caribbean Court of Justice. Those were two signature aspects of what that Professor Ambassador Ward would have wanted to see in Jamaica morphed into a republic.
Senator Mottley, I want to segue into the hurricane that just hit us. As you said that he was trying his endeavor best to get, he has a GoFundMe going. Would you consider Ambassador Ward a man of the people, for the people, and by the people?
There is no way you could dispute that. And I was personally very, very touched at his attempts to get hurricane relief to the people. Sometimes you think that there are persons who might instruct, direct, but not personally be involved. If you understand what I mean.
Yes.
He was personally involved in that effort. And I found that to display just a measure of the man. When you think about the persons who have been like Goliaths in this world, he's one such. But you look at his background, from rural Jamaica, went to a rural high school, and just how it was that he was able to transcend all of his local situation to become such a powerful person. I think that he is an inspiration to others. And I hope that as we are speaking about him, you keep on saying who will take his place. I don't know if he is replaceable like that, but I hope that some persons listening here will see the possibilities which they themselves have and will want to emulate him, so that they become not just local figures, but international figures. And it is a blending of all of his qualities, which makes him so interesting. He's all the things that we have spoken about, but the compassion and the fact that he's for the people and of the people signifies that he never lost touch with his roots.
Indeed.
And that he was always very much in touch with himself as a human being. He knew who he was. He never compromised on who he was. And he always reflected on where he was coming from. Never forgot what the environment which had made him who he was.
Yes, Treasure Beach in St. Elizabeth has lost a son. If you're just joining us, we're speaking to Senator Donna Scott Mottley, opposition spokesperson on foreign affairs and foreign trade. We also have on the line our good friend Conrad O'Brien from Newstalk 93 FM. We had before Dr. Karren Dunkley, who is on giving us her tribute to Ambassador Curtis Ward. Jamaicans, both home and abroad, has lost a son of the soil, as what opposition leader Mark Jefferson Golding has given out his tribute also on Ambassador Ward. As we wind down this program and this tribute to Ambassador Ward, I want we to segue into something that I think was dear to Ambassador Ward's heart, is the people of St. Elizabeth. He tried to help them during Hurricane Beryl. He also tried to help them during Hurricane Melissa. At one point, he didn't say this. I'm saying this now. At one point, I was on my program after Hurricane Beryl, trying to seek funds to assist some people in St. Elizabeth for roof on a lady with oxygen and so forth. And I remember I reached out to Member of Parliament, Minister Floyd Green, pertaining to the lady with the oxygen. And he promised me faithfully, nothing has been done. And I came back on this program here talking about it. And I was so upset. After the program, Ambassador Ward called me and said to me, Jeffrey, you must understand one thing, That everything you ask people for, you're going to get it. You are asking for help from your students who's listening to the program. They will help you. And when he said that to me, I came back the next day, Senator Mottley and Conrad. And I asked the students of the Mekwittalk program to assist me in helping this lady with some oxygen, and also next lady will help in getting her roof on. And I am telling you, the lady with the roof issue, I end up helping her with the roof. The oxygen,
Excellent.
I end up helping her with a little of it, not all of it. And it's to show you that Ambassador Ward was a person who, whenever a disaster hit our nation, he'll go out there and stand up for us, just like C.G. Mayer in Miami. My thing tonight, my question tonight to Senator Mottley is this. He helped so many, especially his parish of St. Elizabeth. Do you think that, should I go down this road, Jeffrey? Do you think
something should be named off him? That's what where you're heading?
Yes. That he should. I'm sorry, I had lost I couldn't hear you for a little while, so
okay,
I just came back in. So ask me the question now then, Jeffrey.
Yes, I'm asking you, do you think that the government of Jamaica should name a building or a scholarship after Ambassador Curtis Ward?
I certainly think that he should be recognized, and that if at different levels.
Yes.
I certainly think that something in Treasure Beach should be named after him. I think that he should. I noticed, Jeffrey, I didn't see that he has national honors. When I saw,
I don't remember. I think he has.
But I certainly think that there needs to be a public acknowledgement of the service that he has given to this country at different levels. You know, very much like I live in Gordon Town, and we have the statue of Miss Lou right here in the middle of Gordon Town. The people of Treasure Beach, the people of St. Elizabeth also need to be able to claim him. Now, it doesn't matter to me which political party somebody supports.
Indeed.
What I believe is that when somebody has made the kind of contribution to the country and internationally, as Ambassador Ward has done, the government of Jamaica, whichever government it is, needs to give that national recognition. In very much the same way that we honor Jimmy Cliff, who served in a different way and had a different international reach. We have icons in many different fields. And all those fields must be acknowledged, you know, partly because it acts as inspiration to others. We have role models which we want to emulate. That will go to the heart of the transformation of Jamaica when we have more and more people who gain recognition for the contributions that they make.
And also, Senator Mottley, is the People's National Party gonna have a church service in honor of Ambassador Ward, or should it? Well, my question is this: should the government should have a church service in honor of him?
I don't know if it is a church service or but certainly I've not seen church services in the past, so I don't think we have a precedent for that.
Okay.
But some memorial in which recognition can be given to the role that he has played. We haven't, certainly in the party, when we met as an executive on Monday night, we paid tribute to him. We observed a moment of silence. We had actually lost quite a few comrades recently. It has been there's been a lot of emotional turmoil. As you know, Wickham McNeil lost his mother as well.
Yes.
And that funeral is on Friday. So we have been experiencing a loss of many of our supporters. I can't say now how he will be honored and recognized by the opposition. I can't say. But I'm sure that you will, in due course, you will be made aware of that.
Mr. O'Brien, your take on the
Mhm.
honoring Ambassador Ward scholarship or a building? What do you think?
Well, certainly, Jeffrey. I just basically say ditch to all that Donna has said, because the truth is that, you know, persons can be awarded in various ways. Certainly, the local community, Treasure Beach in particular, and St. Elizabeth as a wider parish. You know, this is one of their son that has international recognition and so on. So I'm sure that they want to do something there. Also agree with Senator Mottley that, you know, in terms of, you know, when it comes to our people, we have to basically divorce the politics, the party that they support, because that's who we are. We have two major political parties in Jamaica, and people will invariably support one or the other. But what we must look at is the body of work that that person has done in terms of putting Jamaica name out there. And certainly anyone who is aware of Ambassador Ward, they would have to say that he had carried Jamaican name and carried very, very well. I say in closing, Jeffrey, on this, the last thing that I have, and this is just to show you the measure of the man and how he thinks. TWP, that's the Ward Post, right?
Yes.
And he sent it to me, and he said, words of war could be deadly in 2026. The Ward Post. That was his latest. That was the final Ward Post that he did. And he said to me, please share my latest commentary in TWP. That's the Ward Post. So, you know, he was a thinker. He actually pick up these issues, and he was basically able to forecast, because certainly this caption here to say words of war could be deadly in 2026. Certainly that is something that we're all looking and seeing, you know, seems as if it is definitely manifesting as we speak, and certainly will mushroom even further as we continue in 2026. So all in all, I agree that he should be you know, awarded, as Senator was trying to grapple with, in terms of him having national awards. I am not very sure at all. I'm not sure. But certainly, you know, that could be given to him posthumously and all of that.
Yes. Mr. O'Brien, don't leave yet. I know Donna Senator Scott Mottley have to leave us. Senator Mottley, your final take on the tribute of one of Jamaica's eldest statesmen of all time, a man who looked up to his country, a man who fight for his country. I remember when the students was in Ukraine. I remember him lobbying for them to come home. Your final take on one of our greatest heroes.
Well, let me say to you firstly,
yes,
and to Conrad, that I certainly appreciate this program.
Thank you.
That the fact that you have devoted the time to paying tribute to him gives us an idea of just how highly regarded he is. If we don't pause in our daily activities to acknowledge the work to do, then we are failing in the task which we have. I want to say that I am pleased, honored, and humbled to be able to say that I have worked with him, that I've benefited from his advice, and that I hope that as I go forward, I will bring to bear some of the qualities which he demonstrated, that I will have that sort of thoughtfulness, but blended with courage and skill and efficiency, which he did. No, I will never be a prodigious writer as he was, because those word posts, for him to have written them, it required a lot of discipline, attention to what was happening nationally, internationally, all over the world, collating all that information, distilling it, and passing it on to us in a way that we all could understand. don't underestimate that amount of work. I don't know if I can do that, Jeffrey. I respect him and I honor him. And I thank you for inviting me so I can publicly say that I'm pleased to have met him and proud that he agreed to serve on my task force.
Thank you very much. Opposition spokesperson on foreign affairs and foreign trade. One of Jamaica's senator that is loved in Jamaica and I would say in the diaspora, Senator Donna Scott Mottley. Thanks for coming on.
Good night to you and to your listeners. And thank you, Jeffrey, always.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Donna. All the best.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
See you. Yeah, man. See you soon. Bye-bye.
So, Brian, we need a little bit of politics before we go. Your take.
Yes.
I know you got to run.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, man.
Let me ask you this question here. Your take on what happened in the parliament yesterday or today? Is it today? Today's what, Tuesday? Yesterday. Between Dayton Campbell and the Minister of Technology, who came on to speak about how many people get but light in Westmoreland, and Dayton Campbell rubbish it. Your take on it?
Well, certainly, Dayton was being his usual, erudite self there yesterday in the parliament. And what he did was to basically pull down Darrell Vaz down to earth and say, come on, man, don't do that. Don't mislead. Because you see, and this is one of the things, Jeffrey, you can always manipulate numbers and you can lie with the numbers as well. Because when you come and you talk about 90% or whatever percentage of Jamaica is back with light, what we're talking about, what you must be addressing is the areas that have been damaged, that is still out. And what Dayton did yesterday was to remind the minister that Eastern Westmoreland was still in darkness. As a matter of fact, the Gleaner today carried it in a very, very dramatic fashion, a very dramatic fashion. Let me see if I can find it here. Where what they said. Yes. Hold on. No.
We're speaking to Conrad O'Brien from News Talk 93 FM, the fireman himself. Conrad, continue. Yeah. He's looking for something to give to us. Go ahead.
So I was looking, but I'm not finding it. But certainly the paper carried it today, and when it shows that Dayton had really basically rubbish Darrell Vaz, and Darrell Vaz basically pounced. But what happened, he was so embarrassed and could not come with an answer, so he actually leave the parliament in a huff and said he will speak elsewhere. So today he hide under that cloud and basically attempt to talk at the press conference, but certainly, you see, and that was quite disingenuous of the minister as well, because he knows very well that the place to discuss these things is in the parliament. That you could have some amount of cut and thrust there, and you could be questioned. So I am expecting the opposition, certainly Dr. Campbell in particular, not to leave this alone, but to revisit it whenever the parliament reconvene next week, because I believe that Darrell need to answer the question and deal with it in the parliament, so he can be quizzed and the people of Jamaica can be given the answer. Whether they agree with the answers, yes or no, but he as the minister has that responsibility as a servant of the people to answer question and to give the information in the people's house.
You know what I find very funny yesterday, Conrad, is when Dayton, Dr. Campbell get up. No, Dayton, have respect for the man. When Dr. Campbell got up and he was speaking, you could hear opposition leader Mark Golding saying, you come again and misleading the people of this country? You come again misleading the parliament? Darrell couldn't say a word in English.
Yeah, because opposition leader, Mr. Mark Gordon is quite clever at that too. You know, he knows when to basically stick the needle. You know, don't you ever underestimate Mark Jefferson Golden, Marky G. Very, very clever, and he delivered. Oh, the article is here in the Observer.
Go ahead.
The Observer carried the caption: "Darkness versus Data." And it says, was tout 93% power return. Campbell says, Westmoreland Eastern still dark.
you know something, Conrad? Is to show you that the people of this country have been misled by this government and continue to be misled by this government.
Well, you know, Jeffrey, it is clear, and what we're seeing here, and I want to weigh in on this because I said elsewhere today that I believe that all 28 members of parliament, led from the front by Mark Jefferson Golden, the opposition leader, should be calling, and I'm segueing now, should be calling for the resignation in a very strident and serious way of Dr. Christopher Tufton. And when I said it today, I was saying that, listen, there is something that I don't know if you can finger him directly because of the scenario. However, when I looked at it, and I must say thanks to a member of parliament, Dr. Alfred Dawes, who is the spokesperson and health, because he reminded me and he sent me an article, the article on the Observer. You can go and check it, Jeffrey. I'll send it to you, by the way. The Observer, the 12th of December 2023, where it was headline Minister Mingle or something like that, you know, where the minister basically inserted himself in the situation there at UHII and basically removed the board and so on and so forth. And the person who is now the CEO was there somewhat at his BS. And, you know, we're seeing now where that person is on leave. And when you read that article, then the minister cannot extricate himself on that. He must take full responsibility for the recent scenario at the University of the West Indies Hospital. And certainly, I expect if he doesn't walk this time, then the Prime Minister, I'm afraid the Prime Minister will have to take step and remove Tufton. Right?
Indeed.
He cannot continue as Minister of Health with so many things going south under his watch.
Yes. Conrad, I know you got to run, but one more thing before you go. I want to say this.
Yes, Jeff.
In which modern democracy you could have a security forces that launch an investigation and a search at a home in St. James, where 4,000 rounds of bullets was found. They lock up the persons because of the SSL multi-billion-dollar fraud scandal. And they let them go. But nobody knew. The Jamaican people did not know. The police force, the Jamaica Constable Force, did not tell the Jamaican people that they found how much 1,000 rounds of ammunition, how much bullets, until sometime during this week. Hold on to me, Conrad. The question that we must ask ourselves, was the persons who got locked up for the SSL and they got station bail, were they charged with this 4,000 bullets that the JCF has just told the people of this country? In which modern democracy can this nonsense happen, Mr. O'Brien?
Well, I don't know. I don't know where else this could happen. And certainly we need a lot more meat on the bone in this one, Jeffrey. And, you know, those are some very, very important questions because and the police will have to basically talk to the Jamaican people about that. What happened? Why weren't we not told about this this bullet bonanza as the paper dubbed it, the bullet bonanza there in St. James, right? When those persons were taken into custody. What happened? And have those charged now been preferred or being preferred against those persons since we get the information of this mass bullet bonanza?
And
it is important, Jeffrey, that we get some clarity on this one.
You know, as we wrap Conrad O'Brien from News Talk 93 FM, straight up News Talk 93 FM, you know, this don't look good. Because if it was some people who live below Crossroad, they look as the late Mottley Perkins would have put it, the dirty foot chose his boy. It was one of them who they caught with these bullets. He would never see the day.
He wouldn't see the light of day. The light of day. But because
but because of the people of the effluence of society in our country, the people of the Vumvavon and the Vumvaveen, where the people of Crossroad have one law for themselves, and the people of the Vumvavon and the Vumvaveen up at St. Andrew has another law for themselves.
Yes, Jeffrey, you're indeed correct. And you know, Jeffrey, someone raised the matter on my program today about a situation that took place in Montego Bay, where a lady, I think she wore the first name, the last name of Issa.
Yes.
I don't know if that come about through marriage or what.
It's through marriage.
But person raised the question today about that matter, because remember now that the little boy that was murdered, you know, it was like trouble to actually get her phone submitted. There was a lot of legal maneuvering in terms of getting the phone into the custody of the police and so on. That case seems to have gone cold. And of course, a very, very thoughtful listener today raised the matter on my program. So people are basically keeping abreast and checking and asking, you know, what is happening with so much cases. Just Monday again, I think another person raised the Royal Reid case.
Yes.
I don't remember which date they're supposed to go back, but certainly people are asking what is happening in these cases. Jeffrey, there's just too many things that are happening in this country. And when you look at the face of it, the ordinary folks who are not being kicked down, their doors are not being kicked off, and some questionable shooting and so taking place, you know, it is persons who are in affluent position being caught with their pants down and basically seemingly as if they are getting off the hook. Therefore, a country cannot operate that way. And if we're truly serious about this mantra that we taught, Jamaica being the place to live, raise family, and do business. Certainly, we have to fix this deficit. See what is happening there? So the United States pounds and basically shut down not just Jamaica alone, but certainly Jamaica is involved in it with this recent visa scenario. That means we have to get this place corrected. We have to get Jamaica right so we can live our best life here in Jamaica, Jeffrey.
And if the leaders of the country had any respect for us from 1962, you don't think that if we had followed the mantra of the late Michael Norman Manley, Joshua Manley, Papa Manley, who at one point Michael Manley used to go down to Negril, sit on the beach in Negril with Negrillians, eat some fish and some curry chicken back and roast bird fruit without any bodyguard around him. If we had followed him, where he said that we grow, how you go again, kind of grow what we eat and eat what we grow? I say go.
Yes. Grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Yes. Grow what we eat and eat what we grow.
We wouldn't have to be depending on other countries to help us. This country has the ability to survive on its own. It's because of lack of management in this country why Jamaica is where Jamaica is now.
Well, you know, Jeffrey, what we can certainly do, we can point to a number of things that basically happen on the various leaders, you know, Prime Minister, certainly when you talk about the modernization of Jamaica and so on, you definitely have to finger Percival Noel James Patterson, that PJ Patterson, a man who sometimes is a little bit underrated by some people when you listen to them. But when you look at his record, and certainly he was there front and center with Michael, so some of those tribute or some of the accolades that basically come about from the 1970s. PJ Patterson was there front and center in terms of policies. So, but certainly, Jeffrey, what happened, we have regressed over the last few years. And so when you look at our food importation bill, when you look at how we're dealing with agriculture, and agriculture is supposed to be one of the linchpin of Jamaica moving forward, we're talking about a situation as to how much is being served on the tourist plate. We have to move that appreciably by way of production of local stuff. We have to get into things like value added and so on and so forth. So we want to see those things. So I agree with you, Jeffrey, that certainly we have to step up on the management aspect of this country, and we have to do everything to reduce corruption as much as we can. I am not stupid. I know that we will never, no country will ever able to eliminate corruption totally. But certainly, Jeffrey, what we've seen here in Jamaica, it seems that we are being overrun and overwhelmed by this thing called corruption.
Yes,
and it is basically tugging at the heartstring of the people, whether it is by way of us, of the people, being able to get affordable housing, whether it is health care, whether it is the education sector, all sectors are being affected by that, Jeffrey. Because when you talk about $500 million missing or go down the tube, or hundreds or billions of dollars go down the tube, you're talking about a school that is void of good decks, good chair, good lighting, proper classroom, hospital with beds, hospital with medication, and so on. So what we have to do, Jeffrey, is to find a way, and certainly the opposition will have to do a lot of this. How do we connect this and sell these things to the people and make the connection to make people know, say, listen, this is what corruption really means. I know that they try assiduously in the running up to the last election. It still seems as if people are not there to that point where they decide to take on the whole business of corruption and allow it to make a difference. But it's work in progress.
You know, and the people of this country must continue asking this minister who believes that taxpayers' money belongs to him. We must ask Darrell Vaz, where is the $1.4 billion that he spent on these old dilapidated school buses? Because he believes that is his money. And I will say this and continue saying this. If it was some other modern democracy, there would be an investigation on who could go to prison, gone to prison.
That is true. The $1.4 billion certainly has a big question sign there, Jeffrey. And one of the things that we must also note is that it was said that it was 110 buses. To date, based on the minister's information, we have only had 60 of those buses here in Jamaica. Now, these buses are not new buses, so basically you'd have to wait for a long time for them to be manufactured. They are used buses. So where are they? Where are they? Did you examine these buses? Were they available? What is the situation? Or there was 50 available and we are waiting for another 60 bit to be retired out of the system, out of America. So we get them, and the time has not come as yet. The minister need to talk to us, and that is why, you know, we, as for example, somebody like myself, I am asking Minister Vaz to come and speak to me, not to embarrass him, because I'm not in the business of embarrassing anybody, but just to seek information, ask a question like this: Minister, what happened? Why have we not gotten the additional 50 buses that's supposed to come into the country? And get a blow-by-blow description as to the $1.4 billion, how it's spent. But these Conrad, are things that we need to know. Yes.
But Conrad, if by asking the ministers the pertinent question is embarrassing, then so be it.
So be it. So be it. so be it.
It is
You know?
taxpayers' money. It is not Andrew Holness' money. It is not Darrell Vaz' money. It is taxpayers' money. And I'm going to ask a question tonight also. Why did the taxpayers of this country have to fork out how much millions of US dollars to give to the JPS for the JPS to restore light in this country? Look how much money JPS has continued taking from the people of this country.
Well, you know, that's a big one, Jeffrey. That's a big one. You know, the JPS said that they were in need of that money by way of a loan. The government basically said they lend them that money in order for the people to be restored. I certainly believe that, you know, we have to look at it, because the JPS, when they make a profit, what happened to that profit? Don't it is somewhere? So why were they not able to be in a position to do it? But here, what happened? Also, Jeffrey, one thing that we must factor, as I you know, close with you. One thing that we must factor in as well, Jeffrey, is that the JPS was basically Armstrong. They had become somewhat impotent in terms of raising their own fund, because ordinarily the JPS would be able or should be able to raise their own funds to carry out this kind of rehabilitation and so on. But the fact that the government, the minister said, listen, they are not going to renew the license to the JPS and so on, and all sorts of conversation were taking place there. The JPS was crippled. They could not raise that money on the private market by themselves because they don't have security of tenure. Right? This thing is ended in 2027, 2 years. So they would not have the time, the lead time, to basically have the investment done and recoup and pay it. So as a result of that now, the government of Jamaica has to step into the breach and lend them this 150 million US. Remember now that the JPS said that they need something of about 450 million. So by virtue of that, they still need an additional 200 million to complete what they said they have to do. So we are watching to see where will that additional 200 million comes from. We are aware that the deal that has been struck by the IMF, there is a 2.3 or $2.6 billion that is in there to off lending to private sector. But will the JPS be able to draw down some of that money also? And the jury is out of on that. And will private sector, other private sector, including what we call foreign direct FDI, foreign direct investors, will they also pull down on that? What we're seeing is over the years, the FDI has been dwindling. For example, on the PJ, when PJ was there and continue with Mama P, we were seeing over $1 billion per year in terms of foreign direct investment, $1 billion US. No, last year we have seen 300,000. So it has been dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. So Jamaica is really not moving with any prosperity. You know, we are not seeing the progress at all. So let's see how things will pan out, Jeffrey. It's sort of hard, you know. Sometimes it becomes tiresome. I can tell you that it becomes tiresome and so on. You know, when you have to be commentating on all these things and so on. But we must do it. We must do it because we have to bring the information to the public. You know, and it's not that you want to badge on Jamaica, because every day I open the microphone by reminding the world that Jamaica is open for business. Come to beautiful Jamaica, right? Yes. Jamaica is open for business. There are so many people that called me off here, Jeffrey, and said, you know, people who live primarily in Canada. A lot of people in Canada have been calling me and said, boy, Conrad, we would really, really want to come home to Jamaica. But guess what? There are two things that we are so much afraid. Make us so much afraid to come. And one, it is crime. And the two, and they put, I'm saying it, but the number one that they're talking about now is health care. They're terrified when they look and hear of the health situation here in Jamaica, especially those persons who live in Canada, because Jeffrey, as we understand it, Canada has a very robust and good healthcare system.
Indeed. Conor Bryan, News Talk 93 FM, coming on to speak to us about the tribute to Ambassador Curtis Ward. We had before Senator Donna Scott Mottley along with Dr. Karren Dunkley. I want to say thanks to the two ladies and gentlemen from coming on the program to speak to us about Ambassador Ward, and also the extension of Conor Bryan coming on to speak to us about the issues facing our beautiful island, Jamaica. We stand by the mantra. We need a government of the people, for the people, and by the people of this country. Conor Bryan, thanks for coming on, sir.
Indeed, Jeffrey, just 30 seconds, please. Just to remind your listeners and viewers that to join me tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and News Talk 93 FM. You know, you can really download the app and so on. And of course, I'll be up on my YouTube channel, Conrad Obi, the Fireman. Join me there, please.
Conor Bryan, thanks very much, sir.
Thank you. Respect. Good.
I want to say thanks everyone for coming on. Until you hear my voice again, I'm Jeffrey Tavares saying thank you all very much. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel. Let me see. There's something coming in here to me. What is this? Is this some news item? Just a moment here. Let me figure out something here. Just a moment here, please. Just a moment. Let me figure out something here. Oh, no, this is okay. This is something that Foreign Affairs Minister Camilla Johnson-Smith is advising Jamaicans who will be afforded by planning by the United States to support the. Hold on there for me. Jamaicans supported by the United immigration visa policies she's urging Jamaicans who are supposed to go to the United States Embassy to, in other words, before you go, call the American Embassy to see if your visa appointment is still valid. So the Foreign Affairs Ministry has issued a bulletin there. And in other news, INDECOM recommended charges for 26 states agents during the 6th month in 2025. The Independent Commission of Investigation, INDECOM, has recommended that 26 charges, has recommended for criminal charges and 23 for disciplinary actions against the security forces in the first 6 months of 2025. So that's the news coming into us here. And the Jamaican Foreign Affairs Ministry is urging Jamaicans who has appointment to make sure the appointment at the American Embassy is valid. Same way, as you all know, the Americans has put out some visa restrictions against 70-something countries. And I think Jamaica is a part of it too. Well, this is what we're going to say so long for tonight. Until you hear my voice again, may God bless you. And may God bless our island home, Jamaica land we love. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for coming on. Thanks to Senator Donna Scott Mottley, Dr. Karren Dunkley, and Conor Bryan. Rest in peace, my good friend. Tribute to Ambassador Curtis Ward. May your soul rest in peace, sir. And thanks for your service to this country. I want to say thanks to his wife and family for loaning Ambassador Ward to the people of the Caribbean and the international community, and indeed, the people of Jamaica. Good night, everyone.
Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk.